Yeah.
Kids these days, like, geez, freaking.
No, fuck you, right?
You're not an adult, Joey.
I'm 18.
I'm
okay?
also 18.
You know what, Dan? It's kind of weird hanging out with a kid. I'm not gonna lie.
It's several months at most. And
Okay,
adults don't
just
shoot children like that.
Anyways, hello. This is the I Got Work Tomorrow podcast. And I'm back again, Priyanshu, and I'm with...
Damn it.
And Joey.
Like, our names are gonna change.
You know what that's
Like, I
the
was
structure. It's the structure.
I don't know. He really likes that introduction.
I know.
You know, so we're always like, okay, we won't say which episode it is.
Yeah,
you know, so that way we can use them for
I didn't say what
And then
episode
Pri's like,
it is.
hey, we're back. This isn't our first episode,
Like, this
guys.
could be the first episode. We're like back from
It's
what?
me
What
again.
the hell? Who is this?
Fucking
Okay. Anyway,
you guys are asshats.
today,
You guys are
We're going to take a
asshats.
picture of Pri. Pri is currently wearing a hat that is slightly too small for him backwards while lying down in that sort of wasted white girl manner. And it's
Like
quite
this
humorous, I have to say. Just chewing
I
gum.
feel like the thumbnail of this podcast will include this one. Hey, no, stay there. We'll get the picture.
Anyways, while Gannett's getting that picture, we actually did want to talk about something today. Something we take for granted, I think, but I think we all love it, but we take it for granted a lot. I think the idea of where it came from, where did it come? Like,
Where does the concept of
Where
music
do
come
babies come
from?
Exactly, music.
No.
like, just ignore Priyanshu.
On an evolutionary scale, because like I was with a friend one day and we had this conversation, but that was pretty cool. Like, eating or drinking or conversating can all be drawn to an evolutionary scale, right? Whether you're progressing or growing up, like growing and keeping yourself fed, right? Keeping yourself fed and alive, survival, and then talking for instincts and not for instincts, for information, right? It's you're gaining information, you're progressing forward, but what's the evolutionary point of music?
I think it's that point where we stop being. It's hard to compare because I mean, you can't compare us anymore. I think to most other organisms on Earth and their evolution and their life cycles because we've reached that point where we start interfering with the way nature works, right?
Right.
But I think like music and all art, I guess, is really cool where it just like starts. Like, how did we start expressing? I guess it's expressing emotion. That's how I've always thought of it.
Well,
But
yeah.
it's other things too. But I mean, like, how do we start expressing ourselves in that manner rather than just literally or physically, by punching someone?
Is it because we're attributed differently than other?
Well, no, it's like-
Well, I mean, I think that once you reach that level of sentience, then we're kind of separated from the rest of them, right? Yeah.
It's
I mean, it's hard to compare because we don't know of any other sentient organisms, right? We haven't seen
I
any.
mean, you can look at other mammals, but I mean,
No, but,
Yeah, but
no,
they're
but
not
mammals haven't
sentient.
progressed at the rate that we
I don't know that word. So
It just means that like you're aware of yourself, basically.
and your
It's
consciousness.
just think of it as like intelligent life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're the only form of it that we know of right now,
Yeah,
right?
or intelligent life. If our level's intelligent life, maybe there's more intelligent life, but we call it something else.
So where does that come from? Like I think, like when you have music, you're trying to manifest your
Yeah.
frustration or happiness or sadness or what have you, be right?
I guess.
Why did we do that? Where does that come from? What does that need to express come from?
Like, I don't know if I had to guess, and I'm going to talk about other things. I have the Wikipedia page over here.
This hat is small as fuck.
Pri's contribution to today's podcast.
Is this hat?
But I mean, just like I guess people heard things like being banged, like
I would assume it's percussion would be the first.
Yeah, or
accidentally
like the wind
or
hitting something,
incidentally.
or like the wind rustling trees. Maybe like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like something.
Could
People
that be-
maybe said, well, maybe we could also make sounds that are pleasing because these sounds are pleasing to us, right?
But can you
Maybe we
imagine? Can you actually imagine that argument just like sitting there, like if you're a caveman or what have you, like, I don't want to like go into
Whenever
nature,
this started, yeah.
and you're just like chilling, and then just like some wind blows on some trees. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you like?
Yeah.
Oh, like that's great, or like,
Yeah.
or even I mean, I don't even want to take this any further, but even in the beginning of language, where did they need to communicate come from?
Yeah.
Or how did it come out? Right?
Well, it's all points of. I mean, it's a brilliant realization. It's like we always think of progress as being like a slow, steady thing, but it's funny when you see when you think about it, like oftentimes just like a sudden moment where everything leaps forward. Like Newton discovering gravity. It's not like he'd been studying gravity. It's just
it just
apple
happened.
falls on his head. He says, "Why does this apple fall on my head?" He figures out that there's a force that attracts the apple
to the ground.
Right? It's like, I don't know. You'd think something like gravity would have been like 300 years worth of 30 different physicists working on it for thinking, but it's not. Sometimes it's just not.
So you're saying the same could be applied to music. It's just
Yeah,
you
well, I
start
think-
hearing a sound.
I
and
think
then you really realize there's something around you
Yeah.
that's unspoken, but has always been there.
I think
Right?
that,
You know what
yeah.
it is? It's how you apply a sound, but not in a conversational sense. Like it is conversational and it isn't conversational, right? It's the first, maybe not the first, but it's one of those things that was made purely for entertainment.
And what's interesting though is, if you've ever, I used to have a dog.
Okay.
And my dog very much so, not so much recorded music, but, we have, my sister's a violinist, my mom plays the piano, I play the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously my dog didn't like the electric guitar, but, when he would hear instruments being played,
Yeah.
he would always come by the instrument and just sit there, and I don't know, I like to think he was listening. Obviously I can't prove he was listening. Some
Yeah.
fucking veterinarian out there is probably like, fuck you, animals don't have feelings.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that he would go towards the source of the music is interesting, right? I mean, he would never be able to make
Wouldn't a vet
music.
be pro animal feelings?
I don't know. There's some scientist asshole.
I
out
know.
there.
Also, I don't know if this is myth or not, but I think if you play music by a plant,
Oh yeah.
plant
Oh,
actually grows
I've heard
towards
of
the
I've heard
music.
of I don't know if
I
that's
don't know if
it.
that's true
It's
or not.
confirmed, bitches.
But then, if
Free, you're on it. Look it up.
look it up.
Oh,
But
yeah,
then, I
that's
mean,
John.
then I guess we have no professors here, guys. But I guess
Professor Pre is fucking on the job.
But Wikipedia here, I'm reading about prehistoric era of music. Oh, sorry. I just want to say quickly. What I was saying, that moment of brilliance is just like when someone decided to make that sound for themselves. You know what I mean? Like that's the leap forward, right?
Right.
Then after that, it's slow progress again. But then there's just breaks of leap forward, right? So then the next leap forward is probably when somebody designed an instrument, right?
yeah. Wow, that's a huge leap.
Yeah.
That's a massive leap.
And then
Or
just
even, like,
and
you
just
just-
music is so musical theory is so intricate and complex. It's almost like a science.
Right.
And it's how where did that how did that happen?
Well, you're saying the scale of music,
Yeah, no, but
like,
just scales. You have intonations.
Octaves.
You have I don't want to get technical, right?
Right.
But I mean, if you actually go into musical theory, this shit is so complex.
Yeah.
I have a basic understanding, and I read shit sometimes on places, and I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking about, right? This shit, it's a science, right? If you use this, what's the word? Anyways, if I jump down from a 1 to a 5, I jump up from a 1 to a 5 in this certain key, then I'm gonna get this sound,
Yeah.
and that's a sound that appeals to people. It's how is it that we can describe it so well?
Right.
Because something like physics or math, we're just describing nature, right?
Right.
So in music, are we describing nature?
Well, that actually brings up the whole, this is a whole different subject, but that brings up the subject of math, is math the science that humans invented to explain nature, or is math the science of nature that we discovered? Right? That's a whole different argument, right? Because
Anyways,
this thing just keeps getting blown up. I don't have we don't have a
found
level.
a study
Okay.
made by Korean scientists, South Korean scientists. Not the
I
North.
assumed as much. I don't think the North usually publishes their work.
Hey, hey.
That's a conversation for another day.
Korean scientists have proven that they are right by finding that playing music, especially classical pieces, to plants really does help them grow more quickly.
Yeah.
The
Did
boffins.
they say why, or did just causation equals
I'm
correlation?
reading.
All right. Jesus fuck.
The boffins based their finding on a study in which they played 14 different classical pieces, including Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata in rice
Ooh,
fields.
that's a good one. It's the only one I ever. I know that one. We used to play that.
Thanks.
Anyways, what happened? What happened?
They found that the music helped the plants. Okay. They
Wow.
found that the music helped plants the crop grown at a faster pace.
Maybe I should just read it.
You want to? And there's
think Noah
evidence
should
that
read
the
it.
the plants have genes that enable them to hear.
Genes to hear. Jesus fuck. Are you sure? Is this backed up? Are you sure?
Researchers.
Are you sure this is not the Onion for Andrew?
Researchers. It's from researchers led by Mi Jung-jung
Okay.
of the National Institute
Oh, me too.
of the National Institute of Agriculture, Biotech, in Suwon, South
That sounds
Korea,
important.
It does.
monitored gene expression, the process by which a plant's DNA code is translated into instructions for biological processes such as growth in the crop.
Well, that's. But do they know why?
The boffins noted that the scientists noted that sounds of 125 hertz and 250 hertz made genes RBCS and ALD that are known to respond to light more active, whereas sound waves at 50 hertz made these genes less active, according to the reports of this website. Since these genes respond to light, the team repeated the experiments in the dark to check whether or not it was the sound and not the light that was making the genes more active. They now suggest that their discovery could in future enable farmers to switch specific plant genes on and off, potentially making crops flower at certain times or grow more quickly.
Could you give me the URL to that, and I will make sure that if anyone wants to check that article out.
Absolutely, I'll give it to you right after we're done here.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, I guess we could have said it on air, but you know.
We'll just,
hey,
we'll just put a link.
Man, no,
yeah, the
we'll
URL
drop
will
in
be
the
up on the website.
We'll drop in a link.
We'll put it under
for the
news.
episode.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So
This is actually a huge conversation to have. Do you think this stuff goes to your genetic code then?
Well, absolutely. Well, no.
The need to
The-
listen,
the-
or like
well-
the enjoyment to
well,
listen and
according to
communicate?
the study, we have plants that have somehow the ability to hear. Maybe not hear, but
respond to a certain
respond to
hertz.
those vibrations
Yeah.
of sound waves. Yeah,
And
which is
like,
interesting.
Well, do you enjoy a high frequency when it's in your ear? Like if it's very high,
Like a mosquito thing, like that
I
kind of shit.
don't enjoy that.
Yeah.
anyways,
But
but it's like when you listen to something that you like rap wise, rock wise, music wise.
rock wise,
Rap is our new music genre. It involves rap and rock, and before you say it's been done, it hasn't.
Get your shit straight.
and if it has, there's still rope.
Rope will forever be a secret. Anyways, so that's where are you going, you fuck?
Dude, I don't think people can't see what's happening right now. I don't think we should make references to where people are in the room.
Oh,
Just continue with what you were saying. Just
anyways.
continue.
But it's pleasant sound. In
So you're
that
saying pleasant sounding makes you want to grow? Is that what you're trying to say?
no, pleasant sounding makes you want to
Oh, he's on a plant, right?
listen to it, right? Like
Okay.
listening to it, and through listening to it, you tend to appreciate it more, and you want to find out more about it. Therefore, you learn more as a result of listening to music.
Interesting. Are you saying so? You're saying like plants like grow towards music that or sounds frequencies that they find pleasing?
Pleasant? Doesn't that mean they have maybe not a conscience that they can
Yeah.
grow
Well, I
upon,
don't
like-
think they do, but
maybe
but
just
I mean, I see.
maybe it's just something. Is intrinsic the right word here? Something
Yeah, I mean,
intrinsic
maybe
that-
things sometimes. I mean, maybe things aren't as directly tied to our own conscience as we always think they are. You know what I mean? Like maybe.
Well, here's this. There's always the instinct of animal, like the
Exactly.
animal instinct, right? Fight or flight. You don't
Yeah.
decide. You just do, right?
Of course, plants don't really hear about the instinct of plants as often, but I mean, is it that hard to believe that maybe there's some sort of general. I mean, the fact that plants have the ability to sort of hear in their genetic code is kind of ridiculous if you think about that. Like, I had no. Like, 5 minutes ago, I would have been like, yeah, fuck you, no way. Right?
But-
So, I mean, is it so hard to believe that maybe the emotional response we get when we listen to music we like isn't directly tied to our consciousness? Maybe it's some other sort of response. I don't understand. I mean, maybe it's maybe those certain frequencies of sound are soothing towards organisms. I mean, maybe it's just what it is.
So you're saying like it's not like directly our personality or consciousness.
I'm not saying that because like I have no like.
I know it's what
Like this is starting to sound a little bit like new age crap, right? But all I'm saying is maybe there's something.
Well, not really. It's just, it could be a lot of things. Like, okay, fine. Keep going though.
I'm normally a very scientific person, but not today, I guess.
Because it's yeah. Well, you know what it is? It's your left brain. It's a whole different aspect.
Oh,
Oh dear, we're getting
I'm
into
sorry.
this stuff again.
I'm sorry.
right?
Finish, go ahead, Joe.
Back, go.
But I mean, it's just maybe it's something. Maybe it's just maybe organisms on Earth, those vibrations, those sound waves are in certain frequencies, and maybe it's different for different organisms. Are pleasing, and then our consciousness and emotions connect that pleasing feeling to the music, and we connect We make our own assumptions about music, our own likes and dislikes about music based on that response. I mean, because why the fuck do plants do that? Like, I don't understand. Does it make sense to you? Because it bothers me, to be honest.
That they would grow in.
That they would grow in the direction of music. Why would they do that?
Well, no, but if we follow that report, it means that like if certain frequency is played, like classical music tends to be at a higher frequency because of the.
I get that, but why would
Strings.
plants grow towards a higher frequency? It doesn't answer the why. This is why I don't like biology. They're always so happy to make a fucking study and just be like, yeah, this is what happens, and then they don't go any deeper. It's like, oh, well, thanks.
Well,
But that means so much to me. Like, that doesn't, like why? Like, let's find out why. Like, at least try.
well, I guess that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, but we're not biologists. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Maybe
You
they
kidding?
talk. They probably have conversations like these too.
I hope they do.
Well, I would.
Biologists, I doubt it. People listen, biologists listening, it's like, fuck you, man.
Oh,
fuck
fuck.
you.
What's that guy's name? Tubbsy.
Tubsy McFat.
It doesn't even matter. Yeah, it's a bit of an inside joke, which I'm sure you'll hear about eventually.
Oh,
Sorry to any biology,
Biologist.
or just biology nuts out there.
sorry, Miss
Don't-
Santos, that I
Miss
don't
Santos.
really.
I love
Sorry,
Miss Santos.
Sorry, I never handed in that one journal. Either. Like, holy shit!
So wait, what are we trying to home in from this then? Like, do you think that there is a relationship that's beyond the conscious?
there
Well, here's
can
what
be.
I'm trying to get at.
it's
you
a
go
genetic
first.
relationship.
For you go first.
There can be. It's
yeah,
just
I would think there might
it's
be.
just the website we went to. The study needs to be more, you know.
It's also just one study. Let's
Yeah,
not
like-
jump the boat.
And also, it was
jump
done
the
in
shark.
Just the ship,
done in
jump the ship.
2007. So
I don't think it's really a big of a priority though in research, probably.
Right.
Either, so. But I mean,
Speaking about, did you Google it?
yeah, I just
So-
googled it, and the first thing that popped up was
We talked about Google, right?
yeah,
so that
yeah.
they could have.
Google. I don't know if you guys know this, but Google doesn't just find the website with the most hits. It actually there's more complicated than that. There's web submission programs. You can pay money to get higher up the list. It's kind of surprising, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't ever think that they would do that. I thought it was always based on the on the hits of the source, and I guess somewhat with the money you pay, but not completely.
But anyways, back to the topic.
Yeah.
What I was trying to get to was like maybe, and this is obviously speculation. It's a little bit far out there, so bear with me, right?
Right.
But maybe what we do with music, right, is similar. Because I think my opinion with math is we use math to describe nature. I don't think that math is in nature. I think math is an excellent way to describe.
You don't think
the way-
math is in nature?
Well, I think math is just an excellent way to they're so close to being the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
basically.
math is an excellent way to describe what happens in nature.
Yeah.
But it's just I feel like math is just like it's a number system we made ourselves, right?
Right.
Who's to say you can't create an entirely different number system, totally unrelated, and you can still describe nature the same way? That's why I think it's just a description.
Because there's some plausibility that you can do it somewhere.
Yeah. Not that I
But
think math.
Not that we could probably.
Like I think math. Yeah, we probably. Look, why would we?
math
First
is
of all.
pretty
And
fucking
how-
concrete.
But math is pretty because math just
Is
describes.
math
right? It's
one of
just
the only
described.
factual things that we really have?
Pretty much. Although then it
Because
becomes.
a lot of things are perception, right?
But you can argue a lot about math too, like 1 + 1, man. You can argue, oh my god, so much crap about the theory of knowledge class, where we were shown, what was it, something like a 50-page proof of 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
A 50-page mathematical proof.
How do they do that?
I didn't look at it. I was just like, fuck
Hey,
this.
man. Hey, man.
I was like,
1
I
+
can't
1
handle
equals
this.
window.
See, that's little one.
But you know, like I
Oh,
enjoy
yeah,
math,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
too far.
1
Yeah.
+ 1 equals window.
Equals window. But that's honestly part of it. Like 1 what plus 1 what? Like what's 1? What is 1? What is one thing? If I say
I know,
one,
but,
if I say 1 apple, okay, but in 1 apple, there's tons of other things. There's billions of atoms. There's billions. There's 10 seeds, whatever the fuck it is. There's juice. There's tons of different things inside of an apple, right?
But I guess so we're just basing it off of the general average apple. Or even not the average
Yeah,
apple.
but even
There's
if you
just
have an
2
average
apples
apple.
on the table.
Yeah, but
You
even
don't
if you
have
have
to be
2
a-
apples,
yeah.
right? Okay. Now, if I add 1 apple plus another apple,
Yeah.
and each one has, say, 1 million atoms in it, I'm just making a number up.
Okay.
All right. So who's to say it doesn't equal 2 million when I add 2 apples instead of 2? But anyways, we're
Well,
kind
it
of
depends,
losing
it depends
track.
what you're counting, though, right? Because like you can count
Yeah,
different things.
exactly.
Like you can count apples. There's 2 apples and 2 million atoms.
But when
It's
you start taking units out of it, right?
Right.
So when you just say 1 plus 1 in basic mathematical numbers,
Yeah.
then those numbers don't represent an object anymore. They don't represent a unit.
They represent values.
Exactly. So who's to say that whatever values in the units of whatever values they're representing on the left side of the equation is the same as on the right side of the equation? You see what that's the argument. I think it's a
suppose.
bit of a waste of time. To be
I
honest.
again, I think
But-
it's not something you're gonna easily like you know.
But anyways, back to what I was trying to
Because
get
you
to.
know what I think it is. I think this all
Okay.
becomes postmodernism when we do this. Like when we
Oh,
really like
oh, oh.
subject everything.
This
to
is
like,
this is the slightly pretentious part of the podcast.
it's true. Why isn't that not true?
No, it's
so
true. It's
true.
true. It's just
And
you have to
all-
say postmodern.
Well, like I don't know the other word. I have no idea what the other word is.
Well, no, meta's part of post. Anyways, it's not important.
But it's just like it just like boils down to like it just bugs me sometimes because like I get it like the cones in our eyes we can't like you will never know to say if my yellow is the same as your yellow,
That's
right?
creepy, yeah.
But like I don't want to like break it down to be like our yellows are different. Like I don't like to go into every detail and like strip it open because like there's so many complexities and levels of everything. Like everything.
That's
follows
why it's fun.
so-
It's fun.
It's
to,
fun, yeah.
It's fun to think about.
I know this whole number.
Yeah, you're a cone.
And Pre continues to raise the IQ of this conversation. He's barely said anything
And
today, Pre. Come
Pre
on.
uses another C word that I think he said with Cohen for his own joke.
Okay, but what I was trying to get to
Oh.
was just the idea that like, if math describes nature, who's to say?
Are we talking about music?
Yes, musical theory doesn't
Okay.
describe nature as well, right?
Right.
Maybe musical theory is actually describing harmonies and so forth that happen in nature, and then we artificially replicate them. I mean, is that so hard to believe? And maybe if it happens in nature, then it's more intrinsically wired into ourselves than we realize. Maybe it's not something we created ourselves. Maybe it's always been there. Maybe
Sound.
something we just discovered a way to calculate it. You know, like musical theory, right?
So you're saying that music is a science that's always been there, and we slowly just
Well, I think all the sciences have always been there, right? We just learn how
Yeah.
to understand them better, right?
Right, like
Maybe
math.
music is the same thing.
like that's why we still have
You know, it's hard to
innovations in these
grasp
things,
because it's
right?
not really a
Yeah.
it's not really a science, but yeah,
Yeah, but isn't that crazy? Like, isn't that just
It is
crazy,
crazy.
to think about? Like,
it is a little out there, I'll admit, but it's nice to think
like
about.
not in that way, but like out there, but like in just the way that like when you like think about this stuff, like you think about like math and you think about physics, like it's always been there. We're just trying to understand it.
Exactly, yeah.
Like everything is just to
You could
your
just say-
understanding.
just say
And you know, I knocked on biology, but it all starts in the same place, right? I mean, we
Dude.
start with math, goes to physics, goes to chemistry,
No, but you
goes
can
to
say that-
biology.
Which goes to psychology.
But math. But you just said that math is like maybe the fundamentals. Of
Math is
have
the
been there,
purest
but-
form, I think.
No, but
Yeah.
math was also like implied by humans.
What do you mean by implied?
Like not implied, but like once again, we're going back to like we gave things a value, not. But we're saying that it's math, like the.
I wouldn't say, but I think
So therefore, could like because like
I wouldn't say we made math though. Well, maybe we made math, but like
'Cause, like,
I was saying, it
chemistry
just
is there.
describes something. No, but like chemistry is there, but math was always there too. Do you understand what I mean? Like it's like chemistry describes the properties, let's say, of a certain chemical, right? So let's say like a chemical, whatever, right? So we have a chemical, and we study it, we measure its reactivity, its enthalpy, its entropy, whatever. Who cares, right? And that's chemistry, part of it. And then math is sort of the same thing. It's like you have something in nature. You have, even if you wanted to apply it to simple 1 + 1 again,
Right.
you have one thing. You receive another thing. Now you have two. You're just describing it. You're not necessarily. I wouldn't say that math wasn't there. This is hard to say because I do think math just describes nature.
So you
But
don't
I
think
wouldn't
math is-
say that it's like something we made up. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't say man made math. I said
You think
like
math
they made math to describe nature.
or
is the
man
best way to say
utilizes
it.
math to understand nature? But like,
Like
where
math
does where does
design-
math come from then? Did we
Well,
do it?
like man designed math,
Yeah.
but it's not like man's own thing because they designed math specifically to describe nature.
Yeah,
is
because
what I
like,
think.
yeah, just
Or
like
man
think about it.
and
Like
woman,
even if we never coined the term or understood the
The
numbers
feminist.
about things
The
like
feminist.
rotations and like you know how the Earth revolves around the sun or our day is 24 hours. Like even if we didn't know those things, they'd still happen.
Yeah.
And we just use the numbers. Like we invented hours to count the time
Exactly.
it takes, right, to
Yeah.
go from day to night to day again, right? Like it's gonna be there regardless if we count them or not. But
Exactly.
we invent these things to understand them.
who's to say that a day doesn't, like, the Earth doesn't rotate around in 8 hours if I change what hours means, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it doesn't.
Then you just change the definition, but like if everyone understands the science, it's the exact same thing.
Exactly. It's just a way of describe. That's what I think, anyways.
There's
funny how we
nothing
went from
there.
music
It's
to
all,
that.
like
And it's
everything that is made by humans is just descriptions of things. That's literally all it is.
Well,
But like time,
yeah.
namings of things,
science is maybe
theoretics.
science, but I mean, but then like someone will make like a piece of art, or they'll use nature in a way that like isn't found in nature. You know what I mean? And it's like, is that still from nature, or
What do
are
you
we
mean?
starting to do that?
Like-
Then again, isn't everything we do from nature? Because we are part of nature. We seem to forget that. But like when someone like makes like a symphony,
Right.
right? Is that still just describing nature, or did that come from them?
I would think it's
You know?
from them.
Well,
yeah,
the-
or like when the same thing when someone like designs a computer chip. Did that really come from nature, or did they just use? Because like,
Well, I think they utilize nature to make the computer chip.
yeah,
right?
but it's like
They
confusing.
innovated
Where does it
nature.
come from? Because it doesn't happen in nature. You know what I mean? Like a symphony. We're talking about nice sound.
Oh,
but
wow,
You don't
like-
hear a symphony.
Well,
in
like
nature.
just think about the beginning of civilization, right? You just have like wheat and brick and really natural elements, right?
brick.
Uh-huh.
And like,
Of course,
well,
brick-
not
brick is in that.
Sorry, I was thinking of the game Settlers of Catan. If you ever play it, that's where that idea comes from. But like, whatever, wheat
get
and
its
grass,
You
right?
got it. You're a settler.
You're a settler. So
You
then,
know what, asshat?
shut the.
I can't believe I said you know what, asshat before pre-answer on the
Okay,
podcast.
You get money. But like, what I'm trying to, it's ridiculous. It's
Just say it. Just say it. Just say it.
So like if you have like wheat, right, and then you start harvesting wheat, and then you grow a farm, and you can grow corn, and then with all the things you find in nature, you can build houses and concrete. You can mix things together, right?
Mhm.
So who's to say that like when people first started settling, because there's no period on that. Who's to say, right? If those people understood that science at that time, they could have made computers in the 1800s, right? Maybe we're just slowly discovering everything we can do with everything we've been given.
Also known as evolution.
Yeah, evolution. Yeah, that's all it is, right?
So you think our increasing intelligence is part of our evolution?
yeah,
Well,
I
no,
would say so.
that's because you're just increasing scope, and the age at which you learn it is just different. Like, because like
Well, I think about it.
there are fucking like 4-year-olds out there with an iPhone, and they can like
Where did that come from? He has to go back to his younger people bashing.
this is not younger people bashing, but like 10, 15 years ago, like many people didn't even know what a cell phone was. Now, cell phones are a thing. What's gonna happen in the next 15? Like, because it's just like in the 1800s, like people knew what electricity was, but electricity was fairly new then. Like it's like, but now
But it's
as a result, we're going on exponential growth. So
Yeah.
it's like it's not a J curve, it's an S curve. So it's gonna be
You think
It's
it's
gonna be
going
a
to
time-
flatten out?
there's gonna be a time where it plateaus,
You think that? You think
and
so?
we're very far from that.
You really think so? That's
Well,
interesting.
here's an
Because
interesting point.
in my opinion,
Can progress ever plateau without just dying?
Think about this.
well,
Like-
without
like-
without death in
Can
society.
it ever? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then it wouldn't plateau though; it would just shoot
This
down.
is a
right?
big. This is a big thing. If you think about music, right, and think about all the loops you could introduce and do in music, right? Or I had this conversation once. If you think about it all, there is a number. There's a number of everything you can possibly do and mix. It's just such a massive number. We'll never get there.
And how do you interpret the number?
Well, again, numbers. We're going back to numbers, right? But the same thing with any situation is like, dude, if you think about doing everything and anything in the world, it's such a huge number. Like, this is a stupid example. Like, if you ate pizza in this room, right?
Okay.
And then you ate one pizza here, and then you went to Prancher's room and you ate one pizza there, right? Who's to say you can't come back to this room, eat 2 pizzas? It's a whole different thing, right? Or a pizza and a half, or pizza and a fraction, right? It
You're
goes
just talking
through
about-
numbers.
You're
No.
talking about like quantum physics.
Yeah, well,
Like,
basically,
what do you-
No,
I'm saying
really,
there's an infinicy of things that you can do, despite the innovation being so small and slight, right? So maybe, so when you think about musical loops, there is a number of all music. There is a caption of all music or everything you can do ever, right? But it's such a big number, you'll never get there.
Yeah, it's the idea of infinity.
Yeah. So maybe progress is infinite because we can never grasp
Infinite
everything.
unless we die. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I think it's infinite.
Yeah.
But because I think it's a bit selfish to think that we're the only people working towards progress too.
Well, you like
Not that I'll get into that, but you know.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
But you know,
I've seen Star Trek.
well, no, but I mean, if you have like a giant universe,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm not saying that we're ever going to see intelligent life from a different planet,
In
or
our
even
life.
even
In our
basic
life.
In our
or
life.
even humanity will ever see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because the distance,
But I mean, like,
right?
like maybe there's not even any of it in our galaxy, but I mean, there's no fucking way. Like at a certain point, random, like you know, the whole chaos theory, random becomes a pattern. At a certain point,
That's confusing.
but at a certain point, these conditions that created life on Earth,
Yeah.
they have to happen again somewhere
Yeah,
else.
exactly.
Like it's so big.
because it's an infinity of
like
numbers.
it's a
right?
1 in a billion chance, but the universe is big enough to
Here's
have
a-
so many of those.
Here's a really cool example that's the exact same thing you're talking about, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you know when you put your headphones in your pocket and they come out, they're always tangled?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know why that is? Because when you put your headphones in your pocket, there's an infinite number of ways that the rope can bend and dangle, right?
Okay.
And only one of those ways is completely straight. So when
Uh-huh.
you put your headphones in your pocket, basically the chances are like 99 million to like 1 that they come out tangled, right? Well, the same thing with this is like we are the one number that supports life in a large support of time in our mind, in our
Shout out
relevancy,
to
right?
Earth, by the way, for life.
So,
Earth, man, you're my bra.
but blah. But so basically, it's the same thing, right? And if we think the universe is really infinite, then these numbers have to repeat themselves, no matter how small they are.
Yeah, yeah, no, and how did we get to fucking?
I don't even
Why are
know.
we talking about music?
Music. This podcast
What?
is getting long too.
There was something. You know, we can't stop those. It's too good.
No, this is really good.
There was something I was gonna say. I can't remember. Jesus.
Shout out to Jesus, by the way.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, do we control our evolution anymore? Sorry, it's a bit of a backtrack.
Do we control it?
Because I mean, you look at evolution, right? Natural selection. Have we not eliminated natural selection in our species? At least in some parts of the world. I mean, in other parts of the world, okay, it's still inactive. But I mean, in like Canada, for instance, people who have the genetics of you know, they have genetic disadvantages, rather than dying and their genetics
cared
ending
for.
there,
They're cared
right? They're cared for and healed back, you know, to live in society, which I think, first of all, is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? But, I mean, does that mean we have stopped our own evolution? Does it mean we now have to control our own
also-
evolution instead of letting nature do it?
No, but also like
That's a good point.
many people with handicaps, like
Okay.
they tend to not like into like not all of them, but like
Well,
there
there are
tends to be
natural
less of a
examples,
success
too.
rate.
There are good natural examples, too, such as Down syndrome, right? Infertile. But, I mean, there are a lot of... I'm not talking about serious handicaps. I'm just talking about genetics, just like general genetics, right? Like, I have an immune system worth a fucking shit in a penny, right? Okay? Okay? Like, if I was living on this land, like, 600 years ago, I wouldn't have lived to be 6 years old. Like, I would have died, right? So the question is...
Yeah, because nobody would give a shit about
Well, and there's no antibiotics, right? I mean, you catch pneumonia...
it. You're done.
You're
Catch,
dead.
you have a 50-50 shot,
Okay.
right? And I've had pneumonia like 9 times.
Right.
So,
But like,
I'd rather not take those odds,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I mean, so obviously I think it's a good, I think the fact that we are human means we're always going to do that, and I think that's a good thing, and I hope we can start spreading it to the rest of the world, although that brings up other problems about overpopulation, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we are in control of our own evolution, then we have to do it. We have to make a fucking try. We have to make like a conscious decision and effort to move our own evolution forward. Now, a lot of people theorize, and I think this is a bit ridiculous, and I hope I don't have to see this in my lifetime. I don't think I will. That will become essentially cybernetic.
Really?
Even the what's his face, the head of engineering at Google, wrote a book about this.
That
And
we'd
he was
be-
saying the final, like the next stage, not the final, the next stage in human evolution eventually
Couldn't you live
will be.
longer?
Well,
Or
yeah.
something like that? if
Yeah.
I'm saying-
Well,
But,
that's
like,
like
the
that's
idea
like
would be like
augmentation.
what he's thinking is like he thinks we'll design a computer
Yeah.
that has the computing power of the human brain because we haven't gotten even close
Haven't
to that,
we?
right? No, we
Aren't
haven't
there
gotten
computers
close.
that process?
Not even
No,
close.
no,
Not even
no,
close.
No.
The human
The
brain is a
human brain.
phenomenal
Exactly.
masterpiece.
Like
This
But
is the
he-
same species of brain that comes up with these symphonies and comes up with these evolutions and like that
But
television. How many
supposedly,
brains were
supposedly like the difference between like is in like not teleportation, but like like almost like phasing, is that like you can't find an area that can store the amount that's within a human.
Oh, really? Well,
Like
well,
you would
maybe
just.
one of the theoretical problems, probably. Right?
That's definitely a theoretical. Like, you don't know. Like,
But like he hypothesized that we would map the entire human brain and then remake it in a computer, and then that computer would gain its own intelligence, right? Because it's the human brain,
Yeah.
and it would gain its own consciousness. And then he's saying that the computers with their own consciousness, this sounds a little bit ridiculous, but it's written by the head of engineering at Google, okay? So this isn't crap, right?
Yeah.
He also predicted, this was in 90, he also predicted that by this time we'd be carrying portable computers that had access to a worldwide network.
Which we
so,
do have.
You know what?
So I don't know how far-fetched. It's far-fetched to think about. If you're
Yeah.
even now, it's weird to think about that you can
Yeah.
access any piece of information at any given point with a
Trust.
phone.
trust.
Trust.
But he was saying they would convince us that they have a consciousness, that they have their own goals and feelings and wants,
Mm-hmm.
and that they'd eventually become equals legally to humans, and that eventually after that the two would become one species together.
How would that work?
Holy shit! It's the Geth.
No, the Geth are just...
We are the
that's-
Quarians. They are the Geth. Oh my
no,
god.
but the Geth don't
Oh
bond with the
my
Quarians.
God.
Anyways, this is just stupid
You
video
can-
game
you can-
talk. I
that can
apologize.
happen. That can happen.
No, I think it's cool. I like it. They should listen. They should like this.
But just the idea that they'll bond together, and eventually the biotic side of our persons might disappear entirely.
But how though? How would
Because
you
eventually
merge
we
inside
will
work?
continue our own evolution, and
Yeah.
then we will find a way to upload our
Upload our consciousness
own
into
consciousness
a,
into a
into a
machine.
machine?
That's
And then
the,
you could
that's
live-
the idea. That's a
Hypothetically,
theory.
you could live eternally.
You
then.
live forever.
forever because you can
And
keep
then
upgrading
you can just
yourself.
live in a database.
But then it brings up philosophical questions. If you upload, I mean, what the first?
It's a great.
Assuming you could fucking upload a consciousness into a computer, which
Okay.
seems a little bit ludicrous as it is, but I mean,
so
assuming
so
it
does
was-
your cell phone. So
Yeah.
you know,
But you know, assuming you could do that,
Shout out to Ludacris.
looking good in the I bet you look.
but assuming you could do that, like, is it still you? Is it still you controlling the computer, or is it an exact copy of you?
Isn't it like that movie Oblivion?
Oh, with
Fuck that movie.
let's not.
Fuck
Yeah,
that
spoiler alert. Let's not talk about it.
Fuck
We'll talk about it after the
that
podcast. I don't want to
movie.
spoil the movie.
Fuck
Okay.
that movie.
But I mean, it's the same deal with the idea of teleportation, right?
Wait, is that still you anymore?
Yeah, because
because you move your atoms
No,
through the air.
no,
right?
because
Well-
because if you have to successfully teleport yourself, you have to literally rip yourself to nothing and recreate yourself. So are
Somewhere
you still
else.
But
yourself?
here's the issue: like the way they do it in science fiction, like Star Trek,
Yeah.
they call it a transporter, right? It's not the way we theorize teleporters. The way it happens there is they actually use your same molecules. They just shoot them down and then reassemble them.
So what are you saying?
Right.
They box them out so you can't get more molecules in there? Like they put
Yeah,
them in some
yeah.
vacuum or something
Yeah,
and
yeah.
send them through?
Some techno babble fake subspace
Of course,
crap, right?
right.
Yeah. But what happens in real world theories?
They've had theories about this.
Oh,
yeah,
of
no,
course,
yeah.
of course.
They'll scan
Numerous
your
ones.
body.
Yeah.
They'll scan your molecular makeup. They'll save it, and then they'll destroy you. And then at another location, they'll download the molecular makeup
And
and use
recreate
new
it.
molecules to recreate
Yeah.
you. So is it still you?
Well, the molecules aren't you.
and you know-
I feel
it's
like it's just a
possible.
clone.
You know, it's
Like, I don't know.
possible, but,
It's hard.
but the thing is, you can't store the. That's the problem.
Oh,
You
can't.
cannot store the
too
data of a
complicated,
human
yeah.
brain. So
Yeah.
that
Well,
you
we're pretty
can-
far from teleportation either
and you
way.
can probably recreate somebody, but they'll just be brain dead because there's no. You
Yeah,
can't. You
I
can't
heard that.
upload that. That's just. It's like not. It's not impossible by nature, but it's a long way.
You know, I really think we need to look into stem cell research. I know that there's a lot of ethical and religious issues with that statement, but I think if we can find some, it needs to be done responsibly. I think I don't know if there is someone out there who could actually do it responsibly, but
I mean,
if there was, I
Stem
think
cells are. The way
it needs to be done. I mean,
the way of the
eventually
future.
it's going to happen.
and
Stem cells are like.
But we have to
augmentation.
learn. We have to learn to be responsible. You know what I mean? Like we have to learn to be responsible with the stuff we learn. Like we're not right now.
Well,
And
they're not. Look,
stem cells is
just
even
look at-
crazier than what we have now.
I mean, just look at it. We still go to war. Like we still have wars.
Yeah.
We still have poverty. We still have all these issues that they're always going to hold us down, right? Maybe we shouldn't take the next step sometimes. You know. I mean, it's a good question. Maybe we should work on our society before we better and grow a new one.
That's fair. But I mean, can we?
Can we?
Because if we always work on our society, we're always striving for
we're never gonna be
perfection.
perfect
You're never
here.
going to reach perfection.
Yeah, it's true. But
Having
it
said
depends on
that,
what you want, right?
There's a
It
good
depends
deal
on
of
what you
improvement
want.
we should be
There's
making.
quality offered in both. There's quality offered in both ways.
Hey guys, remember this was about music?
So off.
Thinking the title of this could be what the
Evolution of.
silence of music, the evolution of a podcast.
Ah,
No,
meta.
that'll be like the caption.
We could call like. You know, actually, I've been wanting to say this since the beginning of the podcast. It's back to music. I think this would be a good way to wrap it up. So, are you guys good to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
If you look on the page for music on Wikipedia,
Mhm.
music is an art form whose medium is sound and silence.
Silence.
Silence. I like that. Don't you guys like that?
You think silence is a form of music?
I think that's pretty cool that they would say sound and silence.
You know what silence is?
Oh my God, Simon Garfunkel, Sound of Silence.
Is it good?
Have you watched The
I
Graduate?
have not, no.
Anyways,
I need to get more involved in pop culture, I keep finding that. There's so many things I like to watch and listen to. I just
Okay.
I end up,
This-
Okay.
So
I end
this-
up watching none of them.
this podcast has gone on a lot longer than we expected.
But I enjoy it.
What are we hitting? 40?
Yeah, 40 minutes, 41
41
minutes. We may or may not split into two parts. That's a discussion we
it
will
is
have to
a-
have.
Damn.
Probably
Jared.
off the podcast, because then they could create 3 parts. Third part being, should we make a third part?
So we hope you enjoyed the talk. If you have any suggestions, you can email us or
Comments.
any comments. You can
questions.
email us too. We'd be happy to read comments on air. Actually,
Twitter.
And what should
And
we talk about
Twitter,
next? as
Facebook,
well?
whatever. Just get in contact with
Hit
us.
us up.
We'll read
We
all
should
that
get
shit.
like if this. We should get a tweet feed.
We should get a live tweet feed. Tweets
Anyways,
are always live.
you know, we always want to hear what you think about what we've talked about, or if you have any ideas about what you'd like us to talk about on the show. So let us know,
That'd be lovely.
and have a great day.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Take it easy
We're
at
not-
work tomorrow.
You know what we need?
I was gonna cut the
You
sound.
know what?
Yeah.
Should I stop it?
You can cut this part out later, but I was thinking maybe we need some
I'm not
sort of
gonna cut it
outro.
I'll
Some
try.
sort of way to say goodbye to everybody.
We'll see.
Okay. Alright. We're not.
Later.
See you guys.
No, no,
I
no,
got work tomorrow.
no.
Signing off. Do do do. Wait, I'll just do beatboxing.
Oh.
Rock.
Bandit? Word.
Dude, that